Hello students, welcome to Turito live classes. Myself A. Swagat. Today in this particular session, we are going to understand about a topic which is more important for our life, that is excretion. So, in this whole chapter life process, this is one of the important life process what we are supposed to understand. Starting with the excretion topic, let us have a look. So, we will be looking into the topics. So, in the previously we were trying to understand the digestion activity as a process which converts the complex food components what we have consumed into simpler ones. So, that is what we have done in the previous session, followed by we try to recall the various parts involved in the digestion process. We give special emphasis on peristalsis, which actually helps the bolus to propel towards the stomach. So, this process of peristalsis occurs in the esophagus, and we also understood about the chemical and mechanical digestion happens which in the stomach, and we understood about the different types of glands involved in the digestive system. So, we need to understand their secretions. So, that is what we did in the previous session. We looked at the respective digestive glands, how they function and what is they do and in which medium they are acting on the food components. We looked at it, followed by we looked at the complete digestion process which occurs in the intestine. So, the intestine was divided into two parts, if you remember that. The first part of the small intestine is duodenum, that is where the complete digestion happens, followed by one more part of the small intestine, that is jejunum, which is moderately coiled, and followed by we have the ileum, which is the longest part of the small intestine, and that is the one which actually having the finger like projections on its internal lining, so that it can absorb the digested nutrients. So, that is what we did in the previous session. In this particular session, we have planned few objectives for all of us. Starting with this, we will be understanding excretion as a removal of metabolic wastes from the body. So, there is a process which helps in removal of metabolic wastes, and then we will be looking into the classification of metabolic waste. So, what is metabolism would be dealt with you, and later I will be letting you know what are the types of metabolic activities happening in the body and what do they mean exactly. Followed by we will be understanding the significance, how important is to remove the metabolic wastes out of our body. Followed by we will be having a detailed understanding of the different types of metabolic wastes. Metabolic wastes are itself are of different types. Okay. So, we will be looking into that because different organisms release their wastes in different forms. So, we will be analyzing that how different they are. Followed by we will be understanding that since we are discussing about the metabolic wastes, so there is a need for us to understand about the excretory organs in general. So, we will be having about discussion about the excretory organs which actually helps in expelling the metabolic wastes. So, these are the objectives what we have planned for you, following which we will start with the word excretion. So, based on the discussion what we had previously, and this term of excretion is again not new to you, right. So, I want you children to start this session first based on your previous understanding. Put in the chat box what is your understanding about excretion. Okay, I see a word that is removal of toxic wastes. Okay, some say it is undigested food. Okay, I agree to that. What else? Okay, some of you are saying wastes generated due to drugs. So, we take so many types of drugs depending upon our illness, right. So, even though doctor prescribes us for 2 weeks of medication, we often see ourselves getting cured within 7 days of time. So, extra 7 days of the medicine which is prescribed, we often are recommended to use it, right. But if you are using it for 7 more days, then what happens is they will be certainly turning themselves as the toxic waste. So, they are to be removed out of the body. But just because they are turning themselves to be toxic wastes, it is not that we have to finish our course within 7 days. If it is recommended by a doctor to take that prescription for about 2 weeks, it is good to take that prescription for 2 weeks. So, that was one thing. So what you are dropping here is highly relevant, okay, that is correct. Okay. So, here we will be understanding what exactly is the excretion means. So, we will be looking into that now. So, what exactly is the excretion is all about. So, first thing, it shows that it is the removal of the waste. Fine. Metabolic wastes include nitrogenous wastes. That means those wastes which contain nitrogen components. So, that is, it is known as nitrogenous wastes. So, nitrogen containing components, nitrogen containing wastes are nitrogenous wastes. But here removal of undigested food is bit different from excretion. So, what we defecate, what we eject out of our body after the digestion process is actually egestion. So, it is not only about removing the undigested food. No doubt children, like you have dropped in the chat box, undigested food is certainly a waste, okay. It should not be remained in the body, that is for sure, it is a waste. But it is the removal of this undigested food from the body is egestion or defecation. So, what do we do? The defecation what we usually perform is actually the removal of the undigested food, okay. That is quite different from the wastes, that is metabolic wastes released from the body. So, you see that is they are nitrogenous wastes, right. So, metabolism is of two types. So, let me tell you what is a metabolism. What is your understanding about metabolism? What do you say so? Okay, I see a response here. You are dropping in saying that metabolic reactions. Metabolic reactions, okay, correct. Fine. Can you elaborate that, try to analyze that and try to understand what is that? Okay. See, this itself gives a very very good hint about what exactly the metabolism is. So, whenever you are discussing about a metabolism, it is actually about the living organism, right. So, the thing which is having life, right, the thing which has life in itself. So, when a thing is having its own life, certainly you know that life is composed of so many types of elements, chemicals, materials, right. You agree with that? When that is the thing, this metabolism is something to do with several thousands of reactions occurring within a living organism. That is quite common for plant cells and animal cells, bacterial cells, fungal cells, all of them. So, they all perform this metabolic activities. Okay. Now, when it comes to metabolism, what you have to understand is, there are several biochemical reactions are happening in the body. So, there are several biochemical reactions which are occurring in the body. Okay. Now, those reactions are quite more important for us. These reactions, so what do you think, so children, these kinds of reactions are happening in the body. So, what is the reason for that? Okay, I see some response here. Okay. So, biochemical reactions, as you dropped in, there are occurring in the body in order to make something or to break something. So, I would like to write here for you. So, these biochemical reactions are happening here. So, why they are happening? Because to make some substance in the body or to break something in the body. So, this is what is first one we have to understand anabolism and catabolism is all about. So, metabolism is basically the biochemical reactions which are occurring in the body, and that is divided into two types, anabolism and catabolism. Okay. Now, when you try to understand anabolism is implying towards those biochemical reactions which are actually making something. So, anabolism is about those biochemical reactions okay, they actually analyze, sorry, they actually make the respective substances. So, there are several substances to be made within the body for the requirement of the body, right. So, anabolism is to those reactions which actually occur in the body in that process in order to make something. Okay. So, they will be giving some types of products. Along with the products, byproducts are released. Same stands with this, with a main difference, catabolism. Here the biochemical reactions occur, okay, occur to break a substance. So, in the case of catabolism reaction, the reactions are occurring in order to break a thing, break any substance present inside the body of the organism, right. So, it is not only one reaction happening to make something, or not only one reaction occurring in the body to break something. There are lakhs in fact, or in other words at least thousands for you to understand. There are thousands of reactions occurring in the body, and they all are destined to either to make something or to break something. Either of the cases, that is a reaction which is possibly the combination reaction, or a reaction which we normally know in this case to be the decomposition reaction, if they are occurring there, they have a motto to form a product, right, the main product which is of our interest. Now, apart from those products, there will be the release of some other substances which are commonly known as byproducts. So, the main products which are useful for the body, that will be used up for several processes, okay, but those products which are not useful for the body and yet they are produced in the body, they are actually byproducts. Okay. Now, if those byproducts are present in the body, it is not recommended that their presence in the body is good. So, it is not so good. So, in order to eliminate these byproducts from the body which are of no use to our body, so our body performs a process called metabolism. Okay. So, as a whole you understood. So, in order to remove that process of this metabolic byproducts, our body undergoes a process of excretion. So, that is what is all about excretion. This is how excretion is happening in the body. This is why excretion occurs in the body. So, let us move forward. Hope you understood that. I would like to show you here. There are some organisms, hope you remember them, amoeba, paramecium, euglena. Are they unicellular organisms or multicellular organisms? Come on, it is the simplest question, you can answer anyway. So, it is quite simple that they are single celled. right? They are single celled organisms. Okay. So, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc., does not have specialized system for excretion. So, because they are single celled, we have dealt it in previous sessions also, previous classes also you might have heard of it. They do not have a, because they are single cell, so often they, we cannot expect them to have a specialized system in order to excrete the body wastes. So, they simply have a system where they directly give out the excretory products from their cells. So, that is by osmosis or endosmosis. Excuse me, children. So, either they will be having a process which actually works out to be very simple. Every waste inside the body is selected inside a vacuole, and that vacuole is expelled out of the body. That is how simple the process is. So, when it comes to higher order multicellular organisms, they will have specialized excretory system. They must have that specialized excretory system because the animals are higher order leveled. That means they have many cells in their body. When they have many cells in their body, what you have to understand is those cells would be combined together. They will be assigned with separate teams. That means they will be turning themselves into different tissues. Different tissues would involve in the formation of different functioning organs. So, that is reason why one of the functioning organ which makes up the excretory system is present in the higher order animals in order to remove the metabolic wastes. For example, in the case of human beings, it is kidneys doing the function. Inside the kidney, each kidney is having a structural and functional unit called nephron. So, here we have nephrons present inside the kidney. So, as a human being, we will be having a pair of kidney, right. Each of them will be having the nephrons, and you would see that these nephrons are the ones which are involved in the removal of the waste out of the body in the form of urine. So, whatever waste we are removing out of the body, it is not the fecal discharge. Mainly the waste released out of our body is through the urine what we flow out. Fecal discharge mainly contains, of course, dead germs or bacteria, everything, but its main composition is all about undigested food. So, that is defecation or egestion. Okay. But excretion is something to do with the nephrons which actually filter each and every ion, every molecule, they have to retain it, and after that whatever is left, that is to be expelled out of the body. Now, that is where we will see the process of excretion happening. Now, why do you think we need the process of excretion? What is the importance of excretion? You can drop in the chat box. Or as you see on the screen, what is the significance of excretion? Okay. So, as you say significance of excretion, you are saying that if we try to keep those wastes in the body, we would become ill. That is natural thing. We should not keep those stuffs inside the body, we would naturally become ill, right. Let us have a look here. We will be removing the undigested food, that is also excretion only, but that is a different form of excretion where only the undigested food is given out of the body, and we call that process as either egestion or defecation. We have removal of undesirable components like chemicals which are actually toxins. So, removal of these undesirable components having toxicity in them, that is poisonous nature. So, of course, that should be excretion, following which removal of the harmful foreign substances. So, when I say the word harmful foreign substances, we have to understand that this phrase of harmful foreign substances would involve pathogenic bacteria, some of the worms in the body, or any other viral components inside the body. Apart from that, those drugs what we have consumed earlier when we were ill, and they are also to be removed. So, that is why we see removal of these foreign substances is more important. So, anything enters the body and that is not native to the body is considered to be foreign. So, removal of those foreign undesirable substances would call it as the one of the important significance in the case of the excretion, right. So, hope you understood this. So, let us move forward. Now, metabolic wastes. Now, what is that metabolic wastes is all about? So, you have seen what is metabolic waste. So, it is all about the types of reactions happening in the body, and they lead to different formation of the products which are definitely needed for the body, right. In the process of formation of those products, what happens is there are other products are also formed in that way, and those products are known as byproducts, and certainly the removal of those byproducts is very important for the body, because they will end up, if they are remaining in our body, they will end up messing up with our basic chemical reactions occurring in the body for the betterment, right. So, that will actually makes the body unfit. So, gradually we will become very weak. So, I would like to show you different organisms would exhibit different types of wastes, starting with amniotic ammonotelic wastes, ureotelic waste and uricotelic waste. Different organisms here, especially higher order animals, you will see them, they would be releasing different types of wastes. Ammonotelic, you see here, what happens is mainly performed by the aquatic organisms, which means the aquatic organisms release their waste mainly in the form of ammonia. Their nitrogenous waste would contain ammonia. When it comes to uricotelic, here it is uricotelic. So, here the main waste is uric acid present in their excretory system. So, that is birds, lizards and snakes. These are the prime examples which have that uric acid as one of the main component in their waste. So, ammonia, uric acid, both of them contain nitrogen with them, following by ureotelic. So, like what kind of wastes do we release? What do you say? What kind of waste we do release based on the type of metabolic waste given here, ureotelic waste? Here urea would be the main waste component that is released out of our body. So, this is in short about the different types of metabolic wastes. Now, we would be looking into one by one slowly. Ammonotelic, the first one. Okay. So, here what happens, the excreted products mainly contain ammonia. So, whether it is ammonia, I want to tell you one more thing, whether it is ammonia, uric acid or urea, three of them contain nitrogen in them. When you can understand that metabolic wastes or excretion mainly involves in removal of the excretory products, that is the wastes which mainly contain nitrogen. So, here if you observe ammonia, uric acid and urea, all three of them contain nitrogen in them. That is why excretion, if you see, it was written as the removal of the nitrogenous wastes. So, it is referring to those wastes which contain nitrogen in them. So, here you see all the three contains ammonia, uric acid and urea should contain nitrogen. So, they all have nitrogen in them. So, it is the releasing of the nitrogenous wastes from the body is known as excretion. So, ammonotelic. So, the excreted product mainly in the ammonotelic organisms is ammonia. It is formed by the oxidative deamination of amino acids and mainly occurs in the liver of vertebrate body. So, oxidative deamination, removal of ammonium ion along with the addition of the oxygen in the basic units of the proteins, that is amino acids, is known as ammonotelic, ammonotelic waste. Now, here it occurs in the liver of the vertebrate body, right. Ammonia molecules are being readily soluble in water, easily cross the membrane. So, that is an advantage here. When they are able to easily soluble in water and readily move out of the membrane, then we would see that in soft bodied invertebrates, because of this character of the ammonia to penetrate the membrane very easily, to dissolve in the water very easily, there are some organisms such as amoeba, sponge, hydra, crabfish, starfish, tadpole larvae and bony fishes. What do? They will see that the ammonia diffuses across the epithelium, that is the nitrogenous waste ammonia just releases out of the body through the uppermost epithelial cell. How it happens? Any guesses? How the waste is just given out of the body, how it happens? Take a guess. It says the diffusion. So, what is that process? We can link it to diffusion. So, this is the clue to my question. Okay. So, as you say, I see a response here. So, that is osmosis. Through the process of osmosis, we see that these soft bodied invertebrates, that means those organisms having no vertebral column, they will give out the ammonium ions or the waste from their skin. So, this is osmosis. Specifically, they actually perform the process by the help of exosmosis. So, this you might have heard in the previous session. So, that is all about ammonotelic organisms. I would like to show you some images. So, that is fishes you see, or you see a multicellular organism like hydra. These are some of the examples. You see here there are so many: amoeba, sponge, hydra, crabfish, starfish, tadpole larvae, bonefish. They all are the examples who actually they are involved in removing of the nitrogenous waste as ammonia as a waste, that is in the process of excretion. So, that is one good thing what we have learnt now. Following which, here it is ureotelic. So, you have to understand the excretory product which is mainly composed of urea. So, you see I would like to show you a link here. Ureo is linked to urea. So, this will ensure that you will not be confused between uricotelic and ureotelic. If it is ureotelic, that means the excretory product mainly contains urea, got it. Followed by urea can be tolerated in a much more concentrated form because it is 1,00,000 times less toxic than ammonia. Ammonia is highly toxic than urea. So, here you see how much high, 1:1,00,000. So, it is for that reason ammonia is very toxic, right. So, urea is less toxic. So, if you have here ourselves, the entire amount of urea produced is not excreted out, but a part is retained in the kidneys and is involved in osmoregulation. For example, cartilaginous fishes, amphibians and mammals are the examples. Now, even though urea is formed inside the body because of various metabolic wastes and it is to be removed out, when it is removed out, you see it is more toxic sorry, it is less toxic than the ammonia. So, urea is less toxic than the ammonia. If that is the case, what you can understand here is part of that urea is left inside the body, it is not given out of the body in order to maintain a process that is osmoregulation. So, the process of the osmoregulation is very important. What you have to understand is here the body temperatures, body concentration, fluid and the solute concentration is everything maintained here. That is what happens in the osmoregulation, you see, right. So, this is one thing about ureotelic, followed by I would like to show you that we have some examples like cartilaginous fishes, amphibians and mammals. So, can you give me an example of a cartilaginous fish which is highly dangerous? Correct. Some of you are saying it as dogfish. Okay, so that's a small one. So you can see sharks, or manta ray, or skates. It's the name of the fish, by the way, skates. So these are some of the fishes which are exclusively, their skeleton is made up of cartilage. So when the skeleton is made up of cartilage, so certainly we call these fishes as cartilaginous fishes, right. So let us have an example here. I was also quoting about the mammals. So certainly you would see this one would be the world's largest mammal, right. So this is the world's largest mammal, what you see, blue whale, and you see there is a shark opening its mouth and showing us all the teeth. So these are some of the animals which actually release the nitrogenous wastes in the form of ammonia, right. So that is ammonotelic, followed by ureotelic. So can anyone tell me what is the waste material in the case of ureotelic? Correct. So as you have dropped in, it is urea, right. So here it is okay, it should be urea. So it is a mistake here. Okay, so that should be, I'm sorry. So uric acid can be passed out almost in the form of precipitate, that is since it almost insoluble in water, this leads to the minimum loss of water. So uric acid is what we have to understand. So excreted products is mainly the uric acid in the case of ureotelic. So uricotelism is the very important for land vertebrates laying shelled eggs. Can you guess what is that we are referring here? It is referring to those organisms which are living on the land having backbone. Second condition is they lay shelled eggs, they lay eggs with the shells. So which organism is referred here? Who can guess? Correct. So it is quite simple that you are guessing about birds. So birds are the ones which are actually involved in giving out the uric acid. Okay. So let us have a look here. So if the embryo within the shelled egg had produced ammonia or urea, that would have been accumulated to a toxic level. But here what happens, we have to understand that they actually give out the waste in the form of uric acid, right. So this problem is solved by whatever ammonia and urea is formed there, that is being forming it into as a uric acid. So being almost insoluble, gets precipitated and remains within the shell only. So even though urea is produced in the shells of the eggs of these animals, that gets converted into uric acid and that just is insoluble in most of the solvents. So, that is an advantage here, and that gets accumulated in the shell only, and it will be causing no problem to the organism, and that's end up having here this concept of uricotelic organisms. So, we see this is about the uricotelic organisms, where they are mainly the product is all about uric acid. So, since it is mentioned about the shelled egg laying land vertebrates, so it is referring to these organisms, the birds, right, following which excretory organs. So, we see here excretory organs. So, the organs, they are mainly responsible for the elimination of their respective wastes, are known as excretory organs. We need them. So, they actually help in eliminating the nitrogenous wastes, enable water balance, and maintain constant ionic composition. Now, this maintenance of the water constant ionic composition in the extracellular fluid is also important. So, it is not only done by removing the nitrogenous wastes, but a part of that, like urea, is stored in the body of the organism. So, that you will see that it also aids in the regulation of osmotic system or osmoregulation. So, osmoregulation is also important, understood. So, this is what we have planned for you today. So, we will be ending up the session with the topics would be revising by us. So, excretion as a metabolic waste process, removal of the metabolic waste from the body, and we need to understand we classified the metabolism into two ways, that is anabolism, where the reactions are processed in order to make a product. Catabolism is a reaction where a process to break the substance. Either of these way, that is anabolism and catabolism, would lead to generation of the wastes, that is the byproducts. So, those byproducts are waste and they are to be removed out of the body. Now, significance of removal of the metabolic wastes. We looked at why the metabolic wastes are not to be continued in the body, and why they are to be removed from the body. Following which, we understood the various types of metabolic wastes, okay, how it is happening and what is happening, and we looked at different organisms, how they release their respective metabolic wastes. Followed by, we had an understanding of the expelling of excretory organs, which actually help in removing various types of metabolic wastes, because different organisms are having their different habitat, and their climatic conditions, environmental factors affecting them on are different. When they have different metabolic wastes generated within their body, and they are actually subjected to different environmental conditions. So, it is obvious that they will have different types of excretory organs expelling various types of the metabolic wastes from the body, right. So, this is what we have done so far in this particular session. Okay. So, hope you understood this session very well. We will be proceeding further with the proper discussion with the upcoming topics. So, hope you understood this session. Thank you so much.